I do want to talk about the jury because you and I talked about at the beginning of this conversation just how high profile this case is because it's received national coverage. Luigi Mangione was perp-walked off a helicopter flanked by police and even the mayor of New York City, Eric Adams. Do you think that with all of this coverage, there's a risk of the jury being tainted?
I think as we get closer to trial, you're going to have motions from the defense or the prosecution, potentially saying that they can't get a decent jury or an impartial jury in the district. It really depends on what's going to happen and on what news coverage takes place and what the sentiment is. In a federal case, it's actually pretty easy to pick a jury. The judge generally picks a jury. There are usually fewer choices in as far as the attorneys are concerned and how a jury is picked. The judge pretty much does everything, and it's done very quickly. In a newsworthy case like this, it might take a little longer. But in a state case, where you have potentially unlimited preemptory challenges, meaning you have unlimited challenges to any member of the jury, jury selection can take days or weeks, potentially. So can he get a fair trial here? I think ultimately you can find 12 to 14 to 24 people who are going to be impartial, at least claim they can be impartial. And I don't think that it needs to move out of the state to do that.
I'm curious on the flip side, a lot of people in this country have serious gripes with the healthcare system. A lot of Americans really are one health catastrophe away from bankruptcy. And Luigi has received an onslaught of support that's not just the fringes. People have said things that I support him too. I don't support murder, but he might have had a point. And that's not just fringe talk on the dark web. Do you think there's the possibility here of jury nullification?
Certainly. And I think that, in all honesty, I think that his attorneys might be reliant somewhat on it. They are going to play out the fact that this was, that healthcare was, is not working for a lot of people, that he was frustrated about this. Not necessarily meant to turn the country in an ideological way, because that would be playing into the state prosecutor's claim for terrorism. But I think they may be looking for people who sympathize with Mangione. And I know this is a very hot button issue considering Charlie Kirk's death yesterday. And it should be reiterated that murder and violence is never a solution to a personal, political, legal issue. It just isn't. But whether or not people feel for his struggle, his journey, his pain, his ideals, that may factor into how a jury ultimately decides.
What do you make of Mangione? Like I said, but I'm going to say it one more time. He has pleaded not guilty. You're innocent before proven guilty. But people have made him somewhat of a hero. They see him as someone who's standing up to a greedy, corrupt healthcare system. The December 4th legal committee, which raised money for his legal fund, said they raised over $1 million for his defense from over 28,000 individual donations. What are your thoughts on that, and how much does that impact the case?
So tackling that from the easiest part of that question, more funds, a bigger war chest means generally better defense. You can pay for more lawyers and for better legal services. You can pay for experts. You can pay for focus groups and even focus juries, which is actually a thing. You can essentially pay for more time for many of those attorneys that are helping you, and more of them. So yes, a bigger war chest generally means a better defense. About how he's getting that money and what people think about him, I don't know if I'm qualified to talk about that, but I can say that it is certainly alarming in this country that people are resorting to violence to resolve their political, ideological, or personal issues. Violence is never the answer.